Yeah, there we go. What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Little Regret 265, and I'm just making another quick stream to kind of focus on some of the updates that are covered in Assetto Corsa's 1.15 update, and also just to talk a little bit about a little goodie I got today. It's Thrustmaster T3PA pedals. So before we get too heavy into it, I'm just gonna make sure everything looks good on here. And you get right to the driving. Ah, there we go. That's beautiful. So for starters, I have to figure out how to effectively drive stick again, but for right now it's working really well. The T3PAs have been really good to me so far. It's been a good time just kind of relearning and getting to use 3 pedals and figure things out. But let's also talk about this update. Some of the big things that come out, or that have come out in the Assetto Corsa 1.15 update for consoles, are that you can now adjust your profile for your wheel. So basically you can adjust all of your mappings individually. You can make add a couple different things. Like in the old profiles for Thrustmaster wheels, you didn't have any glance over buttons, but now you can glance over. And check your corners, make sure you're doing alright. And it's such a great thing to have customizable controls, because now I have a more unified setup between what I normally run Project Cars and here. And I can finally glance over, which I kind of do a bit too much anyway. It gives me just so much more freedom, and I love it. And you can also, save a bunch of different profiles. You have a whole screen you can select from. You have the defaults. Everything's working fine. And I'm really only digging into this update just now. I probably am going to miss a few things, I'm sure, in my hubris and my delight. Because I'm just also so happy to have these pedals, so happy to be running H-pattern shifter again. It's a totally different feel. And also these T3PAs, I tried them out earlier with, without the durometer on them, and they still felt really good, really consistent. But oh my goodness, here I have just all the power. I still have a lot of travel, and this is with the durometer at its shortest length. So I don't have much of a stop in there. I'm probably going to change that in a bit. But I still have a lot of control over the brake. I can still get on him hard and dive bomb this guy, I might add. Still get on him hard, but in order to get that last 15-20%, you really have to dig into the brake way harder than normal. And it makes it so much more rewarding because it keeps you from locking up so easily. It gives you a much more solid brake feel. Like the way I have it set up right now, there's still quite a bit of throw that's kind of not really adjusted, Quite a bit of throw in the pedal that's still just running on the regular spring before it hits the durometer. But once you get into the top 80%, that's when you really start pushing much harder. And I think that's really where the reward comes in. And I think because of that, I'm going to push the durometer further up a little bit to see how it all works out. But right now, it's absolutely great. I'm a huge fan. And these T3PAs are... I knew that they'd be a cut above the G27 pedals, but I didn't imagine that the leap would be exactly like this. So I'm very, very delighted by them, and I messed that up. Just growing through the gears and getting to kind of really feel the brakes. It's awesome. It's an amazing feeling. And the thing is, I still have to get used to my new control mappings, because I'm kind of used to just coming into Assetto Corsa and understanding that, hey... Oh, wow, okay, I massively screwed that up. Need to get on the brakes quite a bit earlier there. So there's kind of a good news, bad news thing with this. You can't stomp the brakes as easily in this game with this durometer in here. But I think it kind of trains you to really, exercise some temperance. Unless you're really in a situation where you need to get every last, iota out, the durometer isn't going to stop you. It's going to actually give you a lot more muscle memory you can work off of. And that's really what we're all looking for in a sim racer, in a sim game, whatever you want to call it. We're looking for, something that's a very authentic, challenging experience. Sometimes a bit too challenging. And that, real life isn't challenging enough for us half the time, but it's all in the name of fun, all in the name of, trying to make ourselves better drivers. And hopefully I can overtake this guy cleanly this time instead of just ramming him in the back and then eventually running him off course. And I put the opponent aggression on 80% just for reference, so it seems like they're not going super hard, which is brings me to another point. You can adjust the opponent aggression now in the 1.15 update. So you used to just have the 6 difficulty levels in the game, which range from very easy to alien. And now you also have an individual percentage bar that correlates to how the AI behave in terms of their aggression. And they're running on 80% right now, like I said. But it really adds a whole new dimension to the racing. Because you can kind of tailor how your AI is going to run with you. And it seems like on here they're still pretty tame at 80%, which I kind of would almost expect, almost. But at the same time, it's still a very welcome surprise. It's still very fun to just get into this and, just stretch your legs a bit. It's probably one of those corners I should be shifting down to 1.4, but I guess that's up to me. And that's one of the things I like now, is that all the controls are kind of just in more convenient places for me now. The thing is that Assetto also has so many different controls that so many other sims or simcades on PS4, I don't like the word simcade, but I'm still going to use it here. So many other games of this style on the PS4, it has so many different controls that those ones don't have. So you really have to kind of very much plan out where you're going to put them, especially if you have like a commercial wheel like a T300 or a G29, because there aren't enough buttons on. There simply are not enough buttons on here. It runs immensely wide. Simply aren't enough buttons on here to map them all. And so what Assetto Corsa does by default is it it basically double maps some of the buttons. So you have your turbo cycling and I believe your curse on the same button map, or something like that. I might be wrong. And your handbrake and your DRS on the same map, and it's weird. It's weird. It's like, yeah, you have DRS, you're generally not going to be using that handbrake too much. If you're using DRS, that is. But it's just kind of weird because you don't know exactly what's going to happen when you hit that button. Just depending on which car you're driving, and I'm almost missed second. I don't know, I mean almost. I did miss second for a bit there. And it's a good thing. I'm really not tapping into the ABS region right now. Brakes are, like, if I want to just take it easy on the brakes and just be soft, I can. But if I want to go really hard, I can. There's a lot of adjustability in here, and there's muscle memory that I can now rely on. And that's something that's invaluable until you really are able to try it for yourself, until you're really able to see it for yourself. Because I've been using positional memory, and that works fine if you're accustomed to that. Works perfectly fine. But I think being able to use muscle memory is even more invaluable because it's so much more intuitive for us as humans. Especially for things that we're not physically feeling with our hands in particular. Gonna run a bit wide there again. It means a lot to be able to just, you know, to feel something with our senses, you know, just use our muscles to kind of dictate where something's going to be. Something you can't really rely on with, you know, pedals with weaker springs or something like that. You know, one of these days, and I'm sitting here on the very first day of my pedals already talking about an upgrade, I'd love to try a load cell kit and just see what it's like, because I don't think I've ever gotten a chance to really see what one of those can do. Yeah, if I lose that position, then that's my fault. I'd love to just try a load cell kit out, but I mean, this is still a huge upgrade. It's not the same. Like, you know, I've driven a car before, I know what a brake pedal feels like. This isn't quite there, but it's so much closer. I still have too much dead area right now. Too much area where it feels like the brake wouldn't be hitting the, too much area where it feels like the, sorry, I'm blanking for words. Too much area where it feels like the caliper would not be hitting the rotor, and yet, you know, I'm still slowing down quite a bit when I'm in that range. So I'm probably going to try moving the durometer a bit further out and seeing what that does for me. But I really like this so far. I'm a huge fan. Also, good news for me, I didn't miss any shifts or make a huge fool of myself by stalling out or anything like that. I was kind of half expecting it, since on G27 my footwork's a bit sloppier. But I mean, these things feel really good. You know, just getting into them, the feeling is right. The clutch is light, but not too light. You know, there's still some feeling in there. The brake has a nice bit of weight on its own, and then you hit the durometer, then it really starts to give you some real resistance. Gas pedal is quite light, but at the same time you still have a good idea of where you are as long as you're careful with it. You just gotta be careful with it. And in that regard, it still feels authentic. Because, I mean, gas pedal is normally very springy, but not very resistant. So it'll return to a closed throttle position pretty quickly, but it's not going to resist you on the way down, because it would be a bit counterintuitive if it did. Yeah. And just to kind of show you what I meant about the whole aggression thing as opposed to opponent level, you now have a new, you know, bar to adjust, and it's individual. You can go incrementally anywhere from 1 to 100, or 0 to 100%, excuse me. So that adds a whole new layer to the game. I haven't messed around with it too much, but I'm excited to see how it works for me, because that was the very first race I did with AI, and 80% seemed very neutral. Seemed like they were honestly a bit soft in that regard. All the other, you know, things you can select seem roughly the same. I don't quite remember if we were able to choose our starting position pre-115, because I don't do quick race all that much. Oh, that was an accident. But it's always, always, always great to just see updates, to see progress, to see things coming along. I'm excited for the new DLC as well. I am fortunate to have that season pass, so hopefully I'll get to see a little bit of it. It's gonna be... I'm sorry, yeah, here we have the changelog right in front of us. So, it just says, in a nutshell, we're proud to announce the launch of update version 1.15 for PlayStation 4. This introduces a bunch of new features and content, including new custom presets, special events, graphical updates, and bug fixes. They're also going to release the Ready to Race DLC pack, which is going to include 10 cars from Audi, Lotus, McLaren, Maserati, and Toyota. So yeah, and I think there's going to be a whole lot of good material in there. Maybe not like huge wants, but I mean, I think it's going to be really cool to ultimately see. For the full change log, we have it right here. Just fixes some stuff with a Logitech limit, rotation limits, assignable controls interface, like I mentioned, like that glance in there, so that's really nice. Oh yes, one thing I actually read about before, but I forgot. You can now use drift and point-to-point tracks in private lobbies, which is awesome. You know, you can now have private drift lobbies. You can now have, you know, certain point-to-point tracks, you know, that can be run in whatever league you want, if you want to do like a toge type of deal. So yeah, just some AI improvements, tire wear, setup, a whole lot of stuff, you know, like I honestly don't have the stomach to read through all of this. It's a lot. It's quite a bit, you know. Downshift protection, AI being able to use different things and do different things better. A bunch of different things. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of just dive into them all a bit later. The new special events as well. I actually haven't even looked to see what they are, but we can see them right here, including the new DLC, basically. I don't know if that's landed yet, but it looks to be quite a fun time. You know, we have the TS040, Lotus 311, the 570S, the TTRS VLN, and the TTRS Cup, ST185 coming to us, the P1 GTR. I don't think that was already in the game, so it's cool to see that one coming in. MC12 GT, that was in here already? I don't know. R18 e-tron, you know, LMS 2016, awesome cars coming in. I'm so excited. And this is what it's about. I'm sorry, I said, might have that DLC. I might not. I might have lied. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I do not have this DLC. And that's fine, you know, I got the season pass, which covered me for pretty much a year's worth of DLC, which is plenty more than I would have ended up buying on my own. It's just that the season pass was at a great price at the time. And I'm actually going to go mess with the durometer a little bit right now. Put my mic down for a second and just kind of see how everything feels. Hopefully get the pedal feel more dialed in, see how it all works out. I might have to mess with it a bit. Just one moment. Alright, so we're back in this. We're on the last race, wow. So we'll see how this all works out. Gonna get away from the H-shifter for a bit because I've actually never driven a manual transmission car in my life. Even though it's very fun. It's something that I'd love to try out or get the opportunity to do. It's just something I haven't done yet. But for right now, I've pushed the durometer quite a bit further forward. Just from what my foot feels right now, it feels like I'm getting a much more realistic progression. But the question is it going to work? Because I'm not entirely sure that it's going to operate the way I'm intending it to. And B, am I going to need to reset anything to get it to work better? Because I haven't unplugged the pedals from the wheelbase, I haven't done any of that, I just manually adjusted the durometer. So what it might be doing is it might be reading the inputs I had put in earlier, or it might have read them, I should say, and it's expecting that to be the maximum point of travel, whereas this is much, much shorter, is much further shy of that. It takes a lot of effort for me to even get to what would have been half brake pressure there. And I'm probably about to make a complete fool of myself because I don't really remember how I like this to be set up. Like, I can guess that I like the tire pressures further down, stuff like that, and probably a bit less fuel in it, because I can't imagine these races are too long. But other than that, I really feel like this setup is about to be problematic. Yeah, that's me really jamming my foot on the pedal, like, oh my goodness, and I'm only at half brake pressure. Also, I have to remember my mappings for all the things, because now I have to adjust ABS and traction control and all the whatnot. That was hilarious. Anyways, I'm gonna reconfigure this really quickly. Forget that you saw that last 20 seconds. So hopefully it should be just as easy as unplugging it and plugging it back in. Uncharacteristically easy. Oh, my traction control is still the same button as it was. There we go. Now that I have unplugged my pedals, and plugged them back in, the adjustment is the same, but I'm now, like, same amount of travel, but I'm now getting full pressure from the pedals. All that basically means, though, is that in this little dead zone, this very small amount of travel that I have, to go from nothing to everything, I can still put on about 70 or 80% of the brakes. So I'm probably going to find a happy medium. Gives me a bit of travel, because, like, the way I have it, it feels realistic, it feels good, and I don't have to put an excessive amount of pressure to get to full braking power. Still a lot, still quite a bit, but not an excessive amount. Actually, yeah, I like it too. Still have to put a lot of pressure on to get to full braking, but, like, there's still so much of it that happens as soon as you hit the durometer. It's weird, it's not unrealistic, it just feels a bit off, because you get a lot of braking power as soon as you meet any resistance. Whereas the way I would like it, I would like to adjust the linearity, excuse me, so that I have more progression in the pedal, so that once I get deeper in, then it really starts to ramp up on brake pressure, and that way I can use more muscle memory. But the way it is right now, it's really good. Not perfect, far from perfect, but I mean, it's still really good. Still probably some of the best braking feel that I've had, because I can really, you know, use my muscles, and it's a workout now. Also, I'm doing awful in this race. Like, I know what I did wrong, but just, I'm doing awful. So that would really be the only tweak that I'd like, to just get the brakes completely up to spec. But right now, you know, the fact that I'm still able to modulate the brakes really easily and play with the pressure with, you know, with my foot rather than with my big toe, makes things a whole lot more fun, makes them a whole lot more enjoyable. And I'm looking forward to experiencing this with other games like Drive Club, like Project Cars, like spinning out into the grass and desperately damaging a car that I could not afford in my wildest dreams. But yeah, just that kind of thing. Really excited for all the possibilities that are coming up, and I'm really excited also for some of the releases coming up. We have Project Cars 2 in a few days. We have Forza 7 coming out soon. NASCAR Heat 2 just came out. F1 2017 is out. I want that badly. GT Sport is coming out soon. I already have that pre-ordered. And so there's just a lot of stuff on the horizon. My setup is finally kind of like bearing fruit, and I think that it's all going to kind of come to a head, you know, late this fall, and I'll really be able to kind of get into it heavy. Of course, as long as my grades are good. Anyways, that's about all I have to say for this stream, so I appreciate you guys tuning in, watching, even up to this, you know, especially up to this point, because I've just been yapping at you the whole time and making a lot of funny mistakes on a live stream. So at this point, I'm gonna log off, sign off, and hope that you all and yours have a wonderful day. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.